Everybody in their grid positions. The green flag is now in the air.
Oh no, Germandi makes a mistake! It's free wide! It's a free wide here in Salzburg. This is absolutely unbelievable!
Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You are joining me here on the starting grid at Balaton Park for the season finale of the 2025 Eastern European TCR Championship, the last race weekend of the season here in Hungary. And we have got a very important task on our hands because we have to crown the series champion. 8 points between the first two drivers coming into the weekend. The championship leader, Adam Koht, on the right-hand side of your picture, and Martin Kadlecik on the left-hand side of your picture. And just 1 point between them in quali. It is the championship leader, Adam Koht, actually taken another pole position in yesterday's qualifying. 5 victories to his name in 2025 already, but Martin Kadlecik, he was also second on the grid the last time out in Brno, and then scored victory in both races of that weekend to actually drop down and reduce his championship gap to the series leader. And who's going to be the most aggressive? Is it going to be decided all in turn one, or is it going to go down to the wire in tomorrow's race? Those are the questions that, of course, are interesting us very, very much. The race is about to start in just a couple of minutes, so we have to go back from the starting grid, but it is going to be an amazing one. Let's enjoy the title fight here in Hungary. We went too late. And so off to the formation lap we go for the second to last time in 2025. We have got the race today and a race tomorrow to decide the 2025 championship. Of course, it could be handed to Adam Colt already today, provided that he extends his lead to over 25 points today. However, he's got Martin Kadlecik, his championship rival, on the front row, and it would actually take a terrible bit of bad luck for Martin to be out of contention after today's race. That's very nearly not going to happen. However, Martin has to try and do whatever he can to stay as close in the fight until the last race tomorrow. He entered the weekend just 8 points behind after a double victory the last time out in Brno, which was a great success for the Czech driver, for the Audi driver in Brno at the Masaryk Racing Circuit. But this is the finale. Adam Colt on pole position again. But so he was also in Brno, and then Martin Kadlecik scored a double victory. As mentioned, 5 wins to Adam Colt this season so far, 4 wins to Martin Kadlecik, 214 points for Adam Colt before the weekend, 206 for Martin Kadlecik. There were a couple of points on offer for qualifying as well, so that means that Adam Colt extends his lead by another point. However, what's going to happen in the races, that is the big question. And is it going to be decided in the first corner? Who's going to be more aggressive, or is it going to be like cat and mouse play all the weekend long? That's something that we're about to unreal in on this weekend. The cars are making their way back to the podium. Adam Colt on pole position with Martin Kadlecik on the front row. So the championship protagonists right alongside one another. That's what we want to see. And we can simply enjoy the final weekend of the 2025 season. Bartosz Groszek then in third. That's Martin Kadlecik's teammate. And he has got Adam Colt's teammate, Jiří Zbožínek, alongside him on row number 2. So you can nicely see them here. The top 4, those are 2 Janik Motorsport Elantras and 2 Aditis Racing's Audi RS3s. This is Croatia's Žarko Kněgo lining up 9th. In front of him in 5th, it's Petr Čížek, alongside him Nemanja Milovanovic, then Fabiančić and Milkovic. The red lights are off and away we go at Balaton Park. This is the first race of the weekend that will be the title decider. And Martin Kadlecik already tries to stick his nose into the first corner. There's contact and Martin Kadlecik comes through to the first position. Adam Colt already under a lot of attack, under a lot of pressure from both Audis. He's dropping down to second. He was off the track momentarily after an aggressive move by Martin Kadlecik. He's definitely trying to take all of his chances. Now Adam Colt second, and definitely infuriated by what happened in the first corner. Is he going to fight back? Definitely he is going to. But Martin Kadlecik glues his Audi to the inside line. To the right-hander we go, and Martin Kadlecik outbrakes himself. He went too deep, and Adam Colt sneaks back into the race lead. The championship leader is first again. So he now undoes all the progress that Martin Kadlecik tried in the opening corners. He is now trying to be defended by Bartosz Groszek, but Jiří Zbožínek also trying to help his teammate. Both number 2s in the fight of their own, but Jirka Zbožínek dropping down and having issues with Petr Čížek. We have got Nemanja Milovanovic being quite aggressive in the fight with Petr Čížek. Čížek now in 5th. So in the end, nothing changes in top 5 positions. Žarko Kněgo coming through the field in his pale blue Elantra. There are the Aditis Racing Audis. Bartosz Groszek trying to cover the back of his teammate, and Petr Čížek cuts the chicane very aggressively. He totally outbraked himself, just like Milovanovic. That was very dangerous. However, both drivers find enough space in the runoff area and managed to rejoin the track safely. So, what an eventful opening lap of the race that was. Adam Colt stays first from Martin Kadlecik. Bartosz Groszek has his back in this race, and he's trying to cover him off from Jiří Zbožínek, basically being his bodyguard for the weekend.
But Martin Karlecik has to do it again. It was, I believe, an opportunistic move, but we have got to have sympathy with that. He really tried to use and exploit his first opportunity that presented itself, and that was in the opening corner of the race. He knows full well that if he doesn't do that, then the rest of the race might be very problematic for him, as the Elantra tends to show a superior pace. But that's not been the case in all races of the 2025 season. Mostly yes, but not quite just. There we go with Žarko Kněgo making further progress and overtaking Milovanovic in the fight for 6th. Petr Čížek right ahead of them in 5th. We are now going to try and settle into some sort of rhythm. Adam Kout fastest on the opening lap of the race. That is absolutely clear, as he was the first across the line. So let's see what happens next. Adam Kout is trying to run for it. It would be hugely beneficial for him if he manages to extend his lead by further 7 points in today's race, and that would very much make him extremely hard to defeat in tomorrow's race. But should the standings, should the race result pan out to be the other way around, with Martin Karlecik taking victory and Adam Kout anywhere behind, then the championship fight will become really wide open into the final race of the season tomorrow. Adam Kout currently doing all he can to prevent that from happening. Martin Karlecik had his chance at the start. He went really aggressive to try and exploit that, and he was nearly successful until he outbraked himself exactly in this spot. Bartosz Groszek now refocusing rather on his rearview mirrors and trying to, well, keep Jiří Zbožínek at bay, not really let him through. To cover the back of his teammate. Bartosz Groszek, himself a former Eastern European TCR champion from a couple of years back. He knows full well what he needs to do to just help his teammate. There we go, Kout leading, with Martin Karlecik trying to stay close. First 5 minutes, it's unbelievable that it's only been 5 minutes. So much has happened already. Across the line we go again, with Adam Kout slightly extending his lead again, 144.0, while Karlecik did 144.2, nearly 3, even though that was his personal best so far. Adam Kout so far the only one in this race who's managed to lap in under 144. Jiří Zbožínek enjoyed a little bit of rallying, a little bit of drifting through the end of the first sector, but somehow he still manages to stay close to Bartosz Groszek. There is your championship and race leader, Adam Kout, from Martin Karlecik, who is now locking up massively into the back chicane, and I believe that he cut that chicane now. This is definitely not going to help his pace. I think he's just overdriving in these laps. He really wants it, but he maybe wants it a little too much. I think he was understandably aggressive at the start, but since then he's been overdriving pretty much in each corner. A little bit here, a little bit there. And that is simply actually undoing all his efforts. He's trying to get closer, but through trying too hard, he's actually letting Adam Kout extend his gap 10th by 10th. 144.0 again from Adam Colt, 144.7 by Kadlecik. He lost a lot on that previous lap. He really needs to calm down. While there is a big fight for third in the meantime, with Zbozinek really trying to find his way through the other Audi. But Bartosz Groszek he's trying to make his Audi as wide as possible, sort of turn it into a combine harvester that you simply cannot overtake on the road. Is Zbozinek already becoming impatient and flashing his headlights? It starts to look a lot like on the main motorway just outside Prague, or maybe even Budapest, any capital city maybe. Zbozinek did try to stick his Elantra down the inside, but Groszek knew full well what was going to happen. Look at that. That is definitely not the ideal racing line. That is just huge defense from Bartosz Groszek. He's trying to use every trick in the book to keep Jiří Zbozinek behind. They also have their own fight in the championship for third. However, Zbozinek is already way too far behind. He came to Balaton Park with 36-point gap to Groszek in the overall third in the standings. But for Zbozinek, this would only be his third podium finish of the season, should he get to third. He's never been higher than third. Still waiting for his first victory. And apart from one win for Giacomo Germandi on the opening weekend of the season in Austria, all of the victories have been taken by either Colt or Kadlecik. 5-4 in favor of the Hyundai driver Nemanja Milovanovic. Got rid of one of the bollards, and he is now enjoying a fight with Žarko Knego. That one is for 6th. Petr Čížek starts to run a rather lonely race in 5th. And Knego outbrakes himself. Milovanovic following him through the runoff area. They simply decided that they didn't really like the chicane on this lap. 4.1 kilometer seems a little too long for them this time around. Bartosz Groszek opening the door a little too much for Zbozinek. However, that keeps him on the inside line for the next left-hander, and that keeps him in third. Zbozinek really showing superior pace in his Elantra in today's race. He's really trying, and he definitely has the speed to do so. However, Bartosz Groszek using a very effective defense. Kadlecik already losing more than 3 seconds to Colt. Colt running a very clean race. After the troubles of the opening lap, he's been piling on the 10s and pulling away ever so slightly. Zbozinek now diving down the inside. There's contact between the two. Zbozinek really growing impatient. But there was contact that sent both cars through the runoff area in the back end chicane. A little hard to say who was at fault, whether it was Groszek closing the door or simply Zbozinek being way too fast in that corner, and we have got one of the cars ending up in the gravel trap. That is the car number 365, and that is Nemanja Milovanovic, whom we had in the fight with Žarko Knego. Bartosz Groszek cuts the back chicane again, and we have got the safety car on track. And this is now going to throw the race wide open yet again. What started to look like an easy getaway for Adam Colt is now being completely undone. He's going to lose all his lead, and this is racing luck coming to help Martin Kadlecik. But this is motorsport. These things simply happen, and Martin Kadlecik is then back in the game for now. So getting close to Adam Colt yet again. He can try it again. I believe there's a little issue, a minor issue on the left rear corner of his Audi. I believe there's a little smoke coming off the tire, because I think that after one of the contacts he may have a little damage to his bodywork that might be coming in contact with the tire. But we're going to have to see further angles to really have it confirmed that it is the case. I just have the feeling that I saw a little bit of smoke coming off the left rear tire on Kadlecik's car. Let's see. So the electric safety car is on the track. We still have plenty of time left, even though the rescue action will take also a couple of minutes, because the car of Nemanja Milovanovic has become beached in the gravel trap, which means that it is nearly impossible to simply move it. It can't be just pushed away, it has to be, well, craned away, so to say. This is now throwing the race wide open yet again. That's good for us. That's good for the television. Adam Colt in the lead from Martin Kadlecik, but he's going to have to negotiate the restart. And although he did make a good start earlier on, Martin Kadlecik simply decided to send it down the inside, sort of Max Verstappen style. Is it now becoming a little too familiar to, I don't know, Abu Dhabi 2021? Not quite yet. So not quite yet so far. But the safety car is definitely playing its role in this year's championship fight. And we know Adam Colt, he can be patient, but he can also be aggressive. And he rarely makes mistakes. That's what makes him so strong this season. Martin Kadlecik, on the other hand, he really wants it. He comes from a little different background. He's not been racing for that long, and he's always... It's always really challenging for him to bring the budget, but this season he's managed to be up there all season long. It's been great for him. And we've got a red flag. The race is red flagged. That's very unfortunate, and that means that the timing will stop. Of course, the graphics don't show it just yet, but the race is now red flagged. And that is even more unfortunate. Well, no standing restarts like in Formula 1. We still gonna get going again under the safety car, behind the safety car. It's simply gonna take a little longer for that beached car to be towed away, and we don't want to lose the rest of the race. So this is the decision of the race control. According to the live timing screen, we do have 8 minutes 36 seconds left on the clock. I'm thinking maybe it should be turned back a little bit, because the red flag has been there for a couple of seconds already. But let's see about that. Either way, the race is stopped for now. It should get going again. We still have time in the day's schedule. There's one more race coming up behind this one. Let's say here locally. The cars are now returning back to the pit lane. So the pack is back into the pits, and the race is stopped for now until we extricate the car of Nemanja Milovanovic out of the gravel trap. I'm trying to see on the aerial view where that is and whether we have got the car away already. Marshall's also using the opportunity to reinstall the bollards in some places, the bollards that have been thrown away by the racing cars. The teams also surrounding their cars, just checking that everything remains okay for the rest, and also assessing damage that has happened to the cars so far in the race. We have had contacts, but nothing overly dramatic. We see Jiří Zbožník's dad. We've seen mechanics and engineers of both teams up front. Janík Motorsport, the red shirt chaps, and then Aditis Racing in predominantly black colors with yellow highlights. We're gonna have to wait a little bit. I believe that the car of Nemanja Milovanovic is already been taken away. I do not see it anywhere on the cameras, and we've got the boards being brought to the pits, which means that signals are going to be shown to the drivers. Unfortunately, we do not have the live race control messages, or do we not? Let's see what info we can still get. So the order is pretty much as it was at the start, all the way up to 5th. We have got Adam Kout from Martin Kadlecík, Bartosz Grošek and Jiří Zbožínek, Petr Čížek in 5th. Žarko Knego made his way up to 6th from Luka Fabiančič and Bojan Milkovic. Nemanja Milovanovic, of course, out of this race already. He's the one who in the end caused, well, first of all the safety car and later on the red flag. But we should get racing again rather soon. We've just seen someone run in the pits. One of the cars is missing something. Ooh, and we are going to have a tyre change in the pit lane. Look at that. Aditis Racing's mechanics are now rushing to one of their cars, but 5-second board. That's just being brought to the position, not that it's going to be shown to the drivers anytime soon. However, it looks like Aditis Racing's managed to negotiate it with FIA. We've got also the clerks present. And yeah, the race will be resumed behind the safety car, but it seems like Aditis Racing has managed to make a point for their car and just show to the marshals, look, our car has taken some battering, it is damaged, and there have been contacts between the bodywork and the tyre, and we need to replace it on safety grounds. That's most important. Yeah, also the wheel nuts need to be fastened properly, which is now being done. Great job by the mechanics. That was very quick. This is Nemanja Milovanovic. No, this is Walter Nežič actually. Also watching our broadcast, so hi Walter, thanks for watching. Just like everyone else who's following the live stream. Well, we have had a tyre replaced on Bartosz Grošek's car. It is normally not allowed, however, on the safety grounds. If you make a point to to the stewards, look, we've got damage and there is a suspicion that we might get puncture. It might be potentially unsafe to our driver and potentially even for somebody else who would find themselves around at that time. Then you may be given a green light to go and replace the tyre, which they did. That's why there was a front left replacement. So, we have got the green light at the end of the pit lane, which means that the clock is now ticking down yet again. 8.5 minutes left on it, and we're supposed to do one lap behind the safety car now, and then the entire pack, well, the remaining 7 cars will be released into the green flag conditions yet again. Sorry, remaining 8 cars, not 7. We've got 1 car retiring. So there we are behind the safety car. It's 1 lap, then it comes back to the pits, and we will be racing again with Adam Kout, the championship leader, first in this race after the troubles of the opening lap, where he was aggressively overtaken by Martin Kadlecík. Martin Kadlecík was very opportunistic in that situation, but then made a mistake and undid all the progress, which put him back in second. However, he is now being presented and handed a second chance because he had been losing time and not really showing the same sort of pace as the race leader. However, the gap is now back down to pretty much nothing. So when we reach the start and finish line, we will be racing again and fighting for the title again. Still, under current circumstances, the title would not be decided whether the order between the first two is this way or the other way around. Safety car in this lap, that was expected. So the lights on the safety car are now off, and the Porsche Taycan is now making its way back into the pit lane, and we will be racing here at the Balaton Park in just a couple of seconds. So let's go for it again. Eastern European TCR fighting for the title with just over 6 minutes left on the clock. And there we go, under green conditions. Martin Karlecik trying to line up. He's got his teammate having his back again, which is really crucial for Karlecik, because Jiří Zbožínek, although he's trying to weave around along the pit straight, can't do nothing right now. Martin Karlecik trying to stay close. However, his tyres presumably not in the best of conditions. And Adam Cote, he performed a very good restart. So all that remains for him now is just grow the gap steadily, just like he did before the safety car, before the red flag. Good job by Adam Cote, a 5-time winner in 2025. He got very near to winning at least one race on each of the weekends until the round in Brno, where he was second in both races, while Martin Karlecik took wins. And there we go, 5 minutes left. Jiří Zbožínek again very close to Bartosz Groszek. Petr Čížek coming under pressure from Žarko Knego in the fight for fifth. A little bit of a wider moment for Groszek. And a huge lock up by Groszek. He's gonna miss the chicane. He cuts the corner, stays in third. And Martin Karlecik has got one of the bollards stuck under his car. I believe that it now found its way out and ended up in the gravel trap on the outside of the final corner, as far as I could see. So that's now dealt with. It would be a little unpleasant to have it stuck under your front splitter. It would play a little havoc with your aerodynamics, but that is now off. But in the meantime, Adam Cote has had a very good opening lap after the restart, increasing his gap to nearly 2 seconds yet again. And Adam driving a very, very mature race today. Martin Karlecik trying to do all that he can, but he had been overdriving a little too much. We saw that in the beginning of the race. It's absolutely understandable. I mean, you have sympathy for Martin, because he's really trying. This is his big chance. However, he's made a little too many mistakes today, and so far it's really not going his way. The championship fight will still remain open for tomorrow, but the mountain that he would have to climb and that he will have to climb will grow even more. And we're looking to have a gap, well, of nearly 20 points tomorrow. And that's a lot for the final race of the season, with 25 points on offer for a race victory. Jiří Zbožínek still not giving up his hopes of a third podium finish in 2025. Still trying to pile pressure on Bartosz Groszek. Groszek a little all over the place today, but somehow still keeping his Audi in third. Adam Cote leading beautifully, 2.7 seconds from Karlecik. He's very nearly back to where he was right before the red flag. Ooh, and look at that. Petr Čížek sensing a chance of a podium finish, because both of the drivers ahead of him didn't really have the best of racing lines through the second corner, as they are locked in their mutual fight. 2 minutes left. Petr Cížek is there, should there be anything up for grabs. Little wider line through the right-hander for Zbožínek. And he will cut the corner. Petr Cížek immediately launching an attack. They are now running side by side. And Petr Cížek goes up to fourth. That was beautiful. Jiří Zbožínek losing a place. That's really not what he would have wanted. However, he finds himself back in fifth now. And Petr Cížek can have a go and even think about a podium today. Who would have thought? Petr Cížek sixth in the standings. He's already been to the podium once at home in Most. But that is his sole podium of 2025. And he is now looking to get another one. Bartosz Groszek, I suspect his tyres have already had a lot. Well, his tyres have already been through a lot today. And we are now on the final lap of the race. The penultimate race of the 2025 season. It's becoming rather decided, or rather clear, who's going to win today's race. 30 seconds left on the clock. Colt leading by more than 3 seconds. But who's going to be third? That is still a big question. On the previous lap, it was a mistake from Jiří Zbožínek that handed the place, or handed the opportunity to get the place for Petr Cížek. And he's now getting very close to Bartosz Groszek. Look at that. They are very close to one another, reaching the far end of the track. There they are. Petr Cížek, is he going to launch an attack? He's going to have a look. Just a slight one. Through the chicane they have to go, and now then into the hairpin. There are still a couple of positions where you can actually have a go. Nothing so far. But how about the exit of the hairpin? Petr Cížek is close, but presumably not close enough. Jiří Zbožínek still trying to show, look, I'm still close to you. Flashing his headlights. This would have to be a huge dive bomb from Petr Cížek. And we're not really used to seeing these from the Czech driver, so he's remaining fourth. But this is a crucial victory, number 6 for Adam Colt in 2025, which now pretty much puts one of his hands on the title trophy. Not both quite yet, it is not decided. But the championship gap is to get extended. And for Martin Kadlecík, it is going to be a lot for tomorrow. It is not impossible, but it's becoming rather unrealistic that he will be able to snatch the title out of the hands of Adam Colt, who's scoring his 6th victory of 2025. He won at Red Bull Ring, he won at Salzburg Ring, he won in Most, then he won both races in Slovakia. And he is now adding a victory, number 6, here at the Balaton Park. Martin Kadlecík, he tried, he really tried. You can't say he didn't. However, he's coming short today. He will be second, which on any other day would be a great result, but I guess not today. Martin Kadlecík wanted that victory, tried to get that victory. But that victory was still 3 1/4 of a second away from him across the line. And that means that he will see his championship gap extend by further 7 points. And that is now bringing it nearly close to 20 for tomorrow. Bartosz Groszek completing the podium. Petr Cížek coming home in 4th. From Jiří Zbožínek, they were just 274 thousandths of a second away from one another across the line. Well, that was close, however, Cížek stayed 4th. Žarko Knego in 6th from Luka Fabiančić, Bojan Milković. And we lost one car through a safety car period and a red flag. Nemanja Milovanovic did not see the finish of today's race. What a race it was! We do keep the championship fight open for tomorrow, but it's going to be really hard for Martin Kadlecik. But you know what? Hard does not mean impossible. Let's see what happens tomorrow. Thank you very much for watching all of today's program. We're very glad that you were with us. Tomorrow we are retaking the action at 8:30 in the morning with another Suzuki Swift Cup race. But from now on, it is a very warm goodbye.
Hát ők ezt tudják.